Hey everyone, welcome to episode 237, Compliment and Complain. Welcome to the Harmony in the Home podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Hutchison. I'm a counselor, a life coach, and most importantly, an imperfect mom doing this work right along with you. And my goal on our podcast is to go from chaos to calm, feel less frazzled, and have more fun within your four walls to have more harmony in your home. Well, this is a pretty obvious title because when I was in an unhealthy relationship in my 20s, I remember my mom saying, and I was complaining to my mom, like, this, and he's doing this, and he's doing this, and it was not a good match. It was not a good want match, but I had to kiss the frogs before finding David. And when I was in a frog relationship, I remember her saying, you need to count the days and make sure that the good is outweighing the bad days. And I was like, oh, that's actually really good. So I remember taking out a calendar and giving each day of how we got along a grade. And that was such a good visual for me because I was just like, it was that cycle of like, it was like calm, then fight, and then repair. It was like that abuse cycle they talk about. Not that I was being abused, but it was just that calm, huge blowout, then repair. And it was that just exhausting cycle. So before I talk about complimenting and complaining, I want to talk to you about our sponsor for today, Herbal Face Food, which you know I'm obsessed with. I want you to go to herbalfacefood.com if you have any issues with your skin, like rosacea, acne, sunspots. Oh my goodness, do I have sunspots? Or I did. They're so much lighter now. Eczema, melasma, psoriasis. And I promise, if you get any of the products from Herbal Face Food, even if you just try the serum, you will notice such a remarkable difference. And email me your before and afters, and I will send you my before and afters, which for some reason I don't want to post publicly because I don't want people to think I'm like an old hag seeing my skin under the light, how it used to be. Even though the way it looks now, I'm very, very happy with it. I would never share anything on our podcast that I don't use every single day. Go to herbalfacefood.com, use the coupon code Harmony20 to get 20% off your first order, and you'll be glad you did, I promise. So using this same concept that my mom taught me when I was in this unhealthy relationship, I want you to use the same type of measuring stick when you're focused on your relationships within your four walls. You can use any relationship, but just focus on the ones in your four walls, which are usually the hardest and most vulnerable. But when you do the work on the four wall relationships, then the other relationships like the coworkers and the neighbors and the acquaintances and the people on the PTO, it makes it so much easier. You can start with the PTO relationships. You can start with the acquaintance relationships first and go the opposite direction. I just find when you do the work on the closest relationships to you, it makes it so much easier. It's like playing basketball with a medicine ball and then all of a sudden playing regular basketball. It's like the relationships within our four walls are our medicine ball. So then when we go out in the world, it's so much easier to love abundantly, love without walls, with love unconditionally, because we practice within our four walls. So I want you to take like kind of an inventory and just focus on a day. Even if you don't want to do the whole day, just do the morning from like 8 to 12 or like from 2 to 6. Just choose a window of time and focus on how many times whoever the person is that gives you the most stress, so to speak, in your four walls. I want you to count how many times you are complimenting that person and how many times you are complaining about that person, either in your head or to that person. You will be blown away at how much complaining you're doing in your brain about this person. And then you'll realize how much you might be nagging, you might be huffing and puffing, you might be seething, you might be doing the silent treatment, you might be pulling away, you might be doing it not so much in you're a horrible person energy, but the complaining vibe and the energy, you'll be blown away of how much you're doing it to create more consciousness around giving them compliments. And compliments don't always have to mean the verbal ones. The energy in which you're giving to that person is complimentary versus nag, complain. He never does this. She never does this. She's always doing this. He's always doing this. Oh, it's this again. Like that vibe, which I do all the time. But when I'm conscious about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I call myself on my own BS. I'm like, wait a minute. You need to change this attitude a little bit. Because when I'm doing that, guess who it hurts? It hurts me. It doesn't hurt the other person, especially when it's in my head. that only hurts me because they're not even affected by it. They're like, oh, she's got her walls up. I'm going to put my walls up. And then we're both like hiding our governor love. We're both hiding behind this love that has a governor on it. And that's not fun for anybody. It's very fun to love abundantly and love without walls and love unconditionally and love with that golden retriever energy. And you realize when you give that out, you'll get it back. So be conscious about it. Keep a mental note. And that's what consciousness is. My sister was over the other day and I have such a problem. My misophonia, I feel like it's getting worse with age versus getting better. And she was working in the dining room and I was working in the kitchen on something and she started humming and I was like, oh, I didn't know you were a hummer. Like I didn't know you were, because I don't like humming and whistling. I know it's really weird. It's a me thing. And she's like, I didn't even know I was doing it. I was like, it's totally a me thing. I'm the problem. I know. But my misophonia, like I can't even have like chewing and like I told you how when there's zippers in the dryer or like even the beep on the microwave when it's done, I'm like, it's really bad. So I know that about myself and I kind of call myself on it, but I'm like, it's totally a me problem. Humming and whistling, I don't know why. It's just like so annoying to me and it shouldn't be, but it is. And she's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know I was doing it. 5 minutes later, she starts humming again. And I'm like, you're humming? I didn't know you loved humming so much. I didn't know I had a sister who was a hummer. She's like, oh, I didn't even know I was doing it. Like, because she was so, and then 5 minutes later, she's like, oh my gosh, I was just about to hum again. I didn't realize I was a hummer. Like she was doing it so unconsciously. And that's what unconsciousness is. It's what we do on autopilot. 80% of our day is unconscious and it should be. That's what habits are all about. Because we don't want to be thinking consciously all day long. We'll be completely exhausted. That's why our kids are so exhausted every day because everything's so new to them. So take a mental note, be conscious of it. If you don't want to do a whole day, just do an hour. Focus on the difficult person in your life, especially the difficult person in your 4 walls. Love on them and love on them hard. They won't even know what's coming at them. And you're like, I love you and there's nothing you can do about it kind of thing. It's the tidal wave of love. It's the fire hose of love. And just love on them the way that they like to feel loved. And you'll feel so much energy and so much vibrancy. And even if you don't get it back, all it is that they're just behind their wall. They don't trust it yet that it's going to be consistent. So just keep loving on that other person because it feels good to love. Not because you're expecting them to drop their walls right away. Not because you're expecting anything in return. Not that you're expecting them to take out the trash. Because it feels good to love the other person. And all people are flawed. All people are awesome. They're all flawsome. There is no person that has pros and no cons. There's no person with cons and no pros. Now, with every disclaimer, I'm not talking about abusive relationships. I'm not talking about people with addictions that they're shooting up with heroin and they're having all these affairs. I'm not talking about that kind of relationship. I'm not talking about abusive relationships. I'm talking about the relationships where it's just kind of gotten to a rut a little bit. And you want to get on the energy cycle versus on the draining cycle. And you realize you'll have more energy and they'll have more energy and there'll be more vitality and energy within the two of you. And with that, you'll have much more harmony in the home and much more light and fluffiness. And then everybody benefits. I love you guys and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye. Hey mamas, thanks for listening. If you had any ahas, clicks, or those lightning bolt moments while listening, you have to check out my free parenting bootcamp, where we take all of this to the next level and we try to create even more awakenings for ourselves so that we can connect more with our kids and never yell at them again. You can sign up at www.coachingkelly.com. And if you really want to fill up my love cup, send me an email of what your aha was, what your click was, what was that lightning bolt moment while you were listening. I want nothing more in life than for you to have harmony in your home and to learn how to be an imperfect mom like me, which allows your kids to be imperfect too, each and every day. Thanks for listening.